Act 2, man. Really something. Act 1 is a lot of setting up what was to come, and Act 2 is a lot of what the result of that is. The ultimate product of the scars. Damn, fuck me, this show is good, bro. This show's so good. What the fuck is happening with Victor? Well, Victor is desperate, and Heimerdinger doesn't want Victor and Jace pursuing that transmutive arcane magic. And it looks like, obviously, when he was young, that guy who maybe is Skarner, I'm not sure who it is, or who that's, I don't remember if they named that guy or not yet, but mad scientist guy that lives down in the fucking crazy cave, obviously taught, oh, Singed, thank you. I knew it started with an S. Singed, not Skarner. That's my bad. Right, because his face is burned. Skarner's the scorpion dude, I'm sorry. Sorry, Singed. I don't know why I keep saying that. I'll get that next time. Now that I recognize his face looks like that, I'll be able to remember Singed. They say it in the captions, which I saw. I remember seeing that at one point I think earlier on in maybe Act 1. But with Singed, you know, teaches Victor a lesson that's obviously pretty fucked up, but one that Victor seemingly is willing to listen to now to some degree because he's desperate. Gotta keep the subject alive. It also makes me wonder about, you know, Victor. The way that Heimerdinger saw him kind of makes me wonder, is he already done some experimenting that he didn't really tell Jace about? I mean, I don't think he told Jace about his blood going in there. I think that he saw what happened to the plant life, and Jace is aware of that. But I don't think he knows about what happened before that with Victor. And so Victor may, in a way, be seeing himself kind of as the subject now, the mutation, so to speak. And so he goes back to Singed, you know, hoping that he can be, you know, preserved and not fucking die, I guess. But in the guy that ratted them out from the first episode, from the first episode of the very start, that's the barman. Felt like with his glasses and stuff, he looked kind of familiar, but I wouldn't have been able to identify him. It's not the barman, it was the guy that was being underpaid and Vander helped him. Okay. Vander was the barman. He was in the bar, right? He was the one dealing with those two shady people, the one Vander got involved with and was like, you know, don't fuck around in here. Like, don't play with me. This ain't a fucking joke. Yeah, that's cool, dude. What a sick callback. I knew he looked familiar. Fuck. That's nice. That's something I would catch on a second watch through. That's nice. Dude, the show is so fucking sick, dude. Oh my god. It's so cool. Jinx has become one of my favorite characters, but just because, not to the extent that she is, but like I can relate. I can relate, man. I can relate to some of that trauma she's walking around with. That's tough, dude. That's tough. Like I said, hers is much more extreme, but I can very much empathize with that. It's hard. I mean, her mind is so distorted by what she's gone through that, I mean, at times she's not even able to fucking delineate from what is real and what isn't. That is so fucking sad, man. It's so sad. Like, this show is full of sad stuff, dude. Whether like Marcus and his daughter, the story of Vander and Silco, what's happened between Powder and Vi, just the fact that these are street kids trying to fucking survive, that kicks all of this off, dude. Jace and him trying to prove himself, and Heimerdinger trying to preserve the integrity of their scientific pursuits and regulate them to make sure that it's not out of control. Mel being a reject of her family for not falling in line with the ideals of her mom. Like, oh, dude, it's just so much pain. It's so much, like, it's so fucked up. It does such a great job through weaving these narratives together to show you how human beings going through fucked up shit, and sometimes good shit, but like mostly, like, you know, in a lot of these cases, just things that they shouldn't have to go through, but do the scars that they carry with them, how that in and of itself can scar the future. It's so fucking sad, dude. It's so fucked up. In most of these people at the beginning, at their core, are good people trying to protect the people that they love and that matter to them, or to appeal to the people whose approval they are seeking so desperately. Even Silco, yes. Like, from what I can tell, yes. Back in the beginning, you know, people make decisions that take them to bad places, and Silco is one of those people now. You need to be able to, you know, recognize the difference of where we are now versus where we were before. I still see no redeeming qualities in Marcus. I mean, there's hints that they've been giving. Obviously, the mother of his daughter is not in the picture, so something happened to her. So I'm imagining it's probably similar to Vi and Powder, who lost their parents. It's possible that Marcus's wife, you know, died in, you know, some of those past events. He also saves Vi, although he does imprison her. I think he does a lot of that to cover up for himself. But he's protecting his daughter. He's getting blackmailed by the mob that he got involved with and shouldn't have, because the power structure that exists for enforcers allows people like Marcus who have probably at times felt powerless to feel powerful. You know? I think Marcus, like, and even in some of the things Silco's been doing more recently, like, Marcus is pretty clearly not cool with it. I don't think that's why that's why Silco did. That's why they have him there with Marcus's daughter building the house of cards. You can see that's the metaphor for most of this episode. Building up this house of cards, but all it takes to make that collapse is one little breeze, one little flick of the finger, and the whole thing tumbles down. Right? That's why Silco drops the card on it, because that really is expressive and reflective of the house of cards that so many of these characters have built. Right? It's you know, it's Marcus, it's the sequence of events of, now we're starting here, now we're here and this person dies, now we're here and more people are getting hurt. You know, now it's this, and now his daughter's at risk, and Marcus is gonna have to come to terms with the fact that, like, he has set himself up to be in a very bad position, you know? But again, I think that everyone kind of has their reasons. I think Caitlyn makes a good point with that, like, we're people up there too, just like you. We're not monsters. And it's about perspective, right? The people in Piltover see the people in Zaun as kind of like street urchin rats, right? The people in Zaun see the people of Piltover as, you know, full of themselves and selfish and greedy. And some of that is true on both sides, but it's always more complex than that, right? You can look at those people really down in the dark down there as like the worst of the worst, but those are the fucking addicts who have been rejected by all forms of society. You know, people that are willing to do anything to just get that feeling of really being alive again for a second. You know, like that guy who sold him out for Shimmer. You know, he just wanted to feel powerful, not scared all the time, and that's why these people get into this stuff, you know? It's obviously very, like, allegorical for real-life drug addiction. It's really fucked up. To be fair, Silco did take care of Powder. I was expecting her to be some Shimmer addict. Well, I mean, if he wants her to be useful to him, I wasn't really expecting that. You can kind of say that, sure. Yeah, maybe Silco lost his daughter or something. You know, maybe that's why he uses Marcus's daughter as leveraged against him, because he knows maybe he knows what it's like to lose a daughter. You know, a little bit of a mix from everybody. You know, but he also is the one who manipulates her as a child and turns her to his side and further sends her down the path of fucking psychosis that she's falling into, or has fallen into. And like, yeah, I can't really look at that and be like, oh yeah, at least he took care of her though. Like, nah, he's used her as a pawn. Like, he's used her as a pawn. And like, that's wrong. You know? It's wrong. We'll see. You know, we'll see if they have explained, I think, very little of Silco's background so far. I think I've gotten more of everyone else's background, honestly, than Silco, which is usually the case, right? It's like, it's not uncommon to where, like, the guy who's most blatantly, like, the villain where they'll leave till like closer to the end where they kind of like explain why. You know, like they showed the stuff with Vander and all that, but I'm curious to know if there's something even before that. Who's more manipulative, Silco or Mel? I'm concerned that with Mel, and we'll see what happens with Silco, I do get a little bit of underpinning that maybe Mel is the manipulative one who falls into her own manipulation a little bit, where she's getting involved with Jace, but I have this slight feeling that maybe that's gonna end up to a degree being real for her. The way that Jace lays his head down in her lap and she's like, "Why do you come to me with this?" And he says like, you know, he kind of is very honest with her, because when I'm with you, I feel like I can do anything. It would take a very cold person to hear that and know that you're manipulating that person and not feel something as a result of that. You'd have to be some kind of fucked up person, which she very well could be, to not let that get to you a little bit, right? So I think Mel is obviously, to a degree, emotionally expressive. She's painting when he comes in the room. She's obviously painting Noxus, which is interesting, but I more so see that maybe Jace could end up being a weakness for her. But does that change how manipulative she is? No. I do still think she's very cunning, very manipulative in the same way that, in a similar fashion that Silco is. But I don't personally see a value in trying to say who's more manipulative than the other. It doesn't really matter. Like, they're both seemingly manipulating other people for their own personal gains. And I hate to say it, but like, if I'm not mistaken, that might very well be like pretty tied in with like the principles of Noxus. like that might be, I mean, thinking of like LeBlanc and Guile and Subterfuge and Deception, like it really, I mean, that's a little taste of Noxus, you know? I think it's interesting how Heimerdinger called the Hex Core a seed. Yeah, the way Heimerdinger said something along the lines of, I've seen a single, you know, nations brought to ruin by a single seed. All I could think of was Xinjiao and taking the seed from the gardens where one of the copies of LeBlanc literally was, and taking it to Ionia. That's all I could think about there was like, wow. That's an interesting way to describe the Hex Core. That is very interesting. I thought of the World Runes, definitely. You know, are the World Runes a type of a Hex Core or something along those lines? Is it something yeah, are they a primitive, ancient type of a Hex Core from a former civilization that learned how to master magic, and we perceive it as the source of magic when perhaps maybe it was just a way to harness it or something? Yeah. We just see it in a different form because it's someone else made it or something like that. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. Now we can watch the hidden details of Arcane Act 2 from Necrit. 26 minutes here.
3 more episodes of Arcane were released, and with it we got more details to look into. By now you know how this works. But before we start breaking apart Act 2, we quickly need to fix some details in Act 1. In the previous video I made 2 mistakes. I accidentally cut out a piece of context when I was talking about the crystals, so that was pointless. And I miscalculated how many crystals Jinx had, which means that no, there are no crystals in the water. And I thought that Vander was actually going to sell Vi out. There were some small details pointing at it. But no, some quotes from Vi in episode 3 disproved it. But anyway, just like last time, in Act 2 there are a lot of details to break down. So without further ado, get ready to jump from a scene to scene very quickly, as these details are all over the place. At the beginning of episode 4, Heimerdinger reveals that Piltover is turning 200 years old.
Yes.
Assuming he didn't venture back to Bandle City after he founded the city, he would be roughly 100 years old back then. They then reference Stanwyck Padidley. Originally, Stanwyck was the professor who convinced Victor to come to Piltover. And later, Stanwyck was the one who stole Blitzcrank and presented him as his own invention.
Oh.
But since in Arcane he
is
shit. Dead, you can see that the timeline is slightly different from the original. Also, there seems to be a statue of one of Bulbok's race. The globe on the Hex Gate pictures the map of Runeterra. According to the placement of the rune, The current ship is heading to the Immortal Bastion. The other places the runes can send you to are the Hirana Monastery, the Argent Mountains, or the Delverhold where Noxus is pushing into the Freljord. These automatons are nothing unusual during Piltover's festivities. Oriana once found one herself. When the mechanical butterfly flies, they actually animated the cogwheels to be turning inside.
It's pretty amazing.
These horned Vastaya seem to fit the description of the race involved in freeing Syndra from her slumber. They are wearing the Kiramen family crest, so they are working for the family. The banners in the background show the Kiramen crest as well as the Talis hammer,
Same
showing
thing
us
on
the cooperation
Caitlyn's
between
bullet.
the two families.
Right.
Mr. No Pants from Act 1 returned, and he is now riding an airship. A good catch in the community reveals that these three might actually be the founders of the Fortiche studio. In their very
makes sense,
first
yeah.
scene, the Firelight leader is dangling their watch, feeding the theory that this might be Echo. The barrels
Might be Echo? The theory that this might be Echo? Come on. Come on, Necrit. I know that at the time they didn't know, but come on. It's obviously Echo. Like, come on.
picture Gragas holding his barrel. They are
Might
marked
not be. Shut the front door. The fuck out of here.
with a pink cross to show that they are filled with shimmer. Since this airship was heading out, it means that Silco was exporting shimmer to the other regions. The show hints that the Firelights are the good guys because they don't use lethal weapons.
I think it's Skarner. No. Skarner's that mad scientist. Definitely not Singed. No. No.
At least, not now. The leader's first line in this act is, "We have 5 minutes." The first line of Echo in Act 1 was, "Give me a few seconds." The red masked guy doesn't have ears because it's just a mask. He is a Vastaya. The Firelights know about Jinx, so her reputation has to be quite spread by now. Jinx's grenades and guns spark with purple flashes, hinting that they are powered by Silco's shimmer. There is a reason why this is possible. Even though it is a chemical that can be injected into bodies, it is flammable and so it can be used for explosives.
That makes sense, like Shimmer Tech.
Jinx stands there in shock because she's unsure whether she just shot Vi. Chaotic violin in the background mimics Jinx's mental instability. Even after the leader is long gone, Jinx continues randomly firing without a target with fear in her eyes. She managed to shoot one of her own. When Savika gets mad at Jinx, you can see her augmented arm glow under the cloak. The Progress Day is full of Easter eggs. There are mugs with Jace, Happy Progress Day airship toys which will come back later, and a diver being claimed by the tentacles from the deep, perhaps referencing Nautilus. The music of this festival comes from the instrumental machine in the background. It glows in tune with the tones. Jace's workshop
Nice.
has
It's a
2
nice detail.
empty throne chairs around the anvil. These are for Jace and Victor. Victor's cane was
I'm assuming the floor there also rotates. This looks like a dial that can rotate, so I'm assuming you could sit there and that's interesting.
chairs around the anvil. These are for Jace and Victor. Victor's cane was upgraded for a full leg support to foreshadow his physical state.
I still enjoy it.
When
He points
Jace
out a lot of
calls
stuff
out
that I
for
don't
the
notice.
professor, the Poro is in frame. That could be because, according to the visual novel, the Poro is a professor too. The hammer
Oh.
Jace used to test the gem stability is the family's Talis hammer.
Ah,
You can
that's
find
a
it on his
nice
table
detail.
in League's client.
That makes sense.
They present Heimerdinger with the Atlas gauntlets and the Hex Claw. According to the original lore, the Atlas gauntlets were not made by Jace. They were created by Vido Violante. Jace just stabilized them with Hextech. The Hex Claw is foreshadowing Victor's final form.
Well, I mean, is that technically still possible? I mean, like, Jace didn't, I don't know, did he position it in such a way that gave the impression that he completely invented the gauntlet? It almost seemed like he was enhancing the gauntlet. So I don't know if it really was saying that he just straight up made it. I don't know if that's technically a retcon, but it doesn't really matter that much.
During the presentation, you can see that Victor doesn't have it fully under control because he burns the back wall as well.
Right.
He then locks the safety mechanism, but as Jace waves around the other gem,
targets it anyway.
you can see the claw respond to it. That's why it misfires when he throws the gem and catches it. You can also see that the engine of the claw is the same thing Victor was tightening at the beginning. That's why the bolt had runes on it.
Oh,
During
nice.
Caitlin's
Down to the bolts, it's magical. Cool.
You can see the dead bodies of the firelights in the bags. The Piltover dock worker who was loading the barrels can be seen in the background. The mask Caitlin found belonged to the woman that Jinx mistook for Vi. The guy who was shot by Jinx jumped down to hide from her mayhem. The reason why Marcus is mad that Caitlin is interfering with the investigation...
Wait, what did he just say? The woman that Jinx mistook for Vi? She just looks similar? That wasn't Vi? Oh, because Vi was in prison. Duh. Duh. She gets fucking shot and dies. Yeah. Dude, so much was happening so quickly in that scene. I was in Jinx's position. I was like, wait, is that Vi? But then, yeah, she's obviously in prison. That doesn't work.
Mistook for Vi. The guy who was shot by
I mistook her for Vi. What the fuck?
Jinx jumped down to hide from her mayhem.
That right there is why he makes these videos. Because I'm fucking sitting there paying attention, and I thought that was Vi. But yeah, that obviously doesn't make sense. Because then obviously Vi would also be able to identify who the people in the masks are in the last scene of episode 6.
The reason why Marcus is mad that Caitlin is interfering with the investigation...
90% of reactors make the same mistake? Well, it's intentional. The people in the show definitely did it that way on purpose. I mean, that scene is quick. It's chaotic. Everything is uncertain. That's how it's supposed to be. I honestly think that's designed in a way where, like, you're supposed to think that. So, I mean, it's to subvert expectation and everything, right? And like he said, Jinx thinking that she just shot Vi adds that extra layer to it. Yeah, that's nice.
Is because by now, Marcus had some deals with Silco. If the goon said he was working for him, Marcus's deals would endanger his family. In Zone, the sequence shows us how much the Undercity has changed under Silco's influence. People are breathing cherry blossom pure air. The poster in the back reads, "The Herald's Palace." The icon above seems to be the head of the Rift Herald. The walls are tagged with the same clouds Jinx has tattooed on her arm. There is a Vastayan Chemtech turtle accepting peril offerings from the citizens. A tattoo artist is working on a pentakill tattoo. It is the same guy who is giving Urgot his Baron
that's
tattoos.
a sick detail.
There is a lady with 2 angry poros, and a pimp with a Vastayan companion, a crow, and a Shuriman Soren. People now have cars in Piltover and Zone.
Oh yeah.
The last drop was turned into a nightclub. Shimmer
Sure was
turned into a widely available drug. People are arm wrestling with shards of glass ready for the loser. Silco's crazy goons are on the dance floor. Silco and Jinx's relationship was a bit disturbing at times. I hope that was by design. Silco's eye injector has Shimmer in it.
Yeah. Definitely by design.
Revealing it is the Shimmer that is keeping his eye alive. The map on Silco's table is the layout of Piltover with the Hex Gate. Silco has a mug made by Jinx on his desk, sort of as a father would. It is an angry monkey with nails in its head, how fitting her PTSD. During the party, the old counselor is nodding at Mel, foreshadowing that she is gonna be the connection between Mel and Jace. Mel mentions none of the other people can offer her anything, only Jace could bring her profit, hinting that Mel is only using Jace. When Jace arrives, all the women pay attention to him, leaving the Medarda counselor quite disappointed. In Jinx's cave, it is revealed she kept all the things from the first act, including the suitcase and the first chompers she found in the bin. She also made herself Milo, and she strapped Clegor's goggles onto a doll. Every time Jinx is talking to herself, we can assume she can hear the voices of these two in her head. Milo is surrounded with the words blah blah, because he's the one who has always gone against Jinx.
Well, he also just talks too much. Pretty sure Vi told him that in one of the earlier episodes. He just doesn't know when to shut up.
Words blah blah, because he's the one who has always gone against Jinx. Jinx has one of the airship toys from the Progress Day. This entire place is one massive Easter egg to the Get Jinx music video.
Cool.
But all those Easter eggs will be revealed over time. Before Jace's speech, you can see Sky showing interest in Victor for the first time. Jace drinks from his own mug.
Oh, right. That's the same girl from the canal. Ooh, I didn't catch that scientist is the girl. Oh, that's nice. Nice. Yeah, I did not catch that.
Showing interest in Victor for the first time. Jace drinks from his own mug, slowly revealing his egoistic turn. The Kiramen commissioned Vastaya sit in the crowd with the Talis and the Kiramen. When the shot goes back to the Hex Gate, different runes show up. The one over Noxus is missing, and there is a new one at Recklestake. It also fully reveals the northern part of Runeterra. Jace calls Piltover the City of Progress, and he says that their future is bright. This is his motto in League of Legends. During Jinx's heist, the building outside was set on fire as a misdirection so that she could steal the gemstone from the main lab. That's why she's talking remotely in there. She left her Progress Day toy in place.
Sorry, yeah. Yeah. My favorite detail that most miss is that the old council member that has still not managed to open Mel's gift toy after... Oh my god, you're so right. He's sitting there dicking with that toy. Oh my god, it's such a good example of how he's such an idiot. That's a fucking great catch. I noticed he was sitting there dinkling with it, but it didn't really register with me like, that's the same toy. He didn't figure it out. That's a child's toy. Oh my god. That's awesome. That's awesome. It's a toy for the brightest minds.
Of the gem on the anvil. When it zooms out, you can see she drew an explosion on the wall, which lines up with the place where the Hextech gem would have been.
It's cool.
This is in reference to her PTSD from the exploding crystals. When Jace tries to shut down the Hex Gates, all the counselors are against it because we now know they have shady deals.
Yep.
The Medardan council reveals that he is shipping wine to Noxus.
Yep.
Marcus is nervous about Jace becoming a counselor, because it would give the Kiramans even more power, endangering his deals with Silco even more. When Jace is voted in
the Kiramans, they already have so much leverage over the Enforcers. Marcus would know that. Obviously and Caitlyn would be aware of it too, given, you know, Caitlyn's remarks to Grayson that we saw in the cutback.
You can only hear one clicking sound. This indicates that everyone voted yes. In her cave, Jinx is listening to the Get Jinx song.
Yeah, that was nice.
She is
I like that.
disassembling one of the mechanized butterflies from earlier. In the back, you can see the horse carousel from the music video. It is the same horse she stole in Act 1. She also kept her drawing of Vander and the kids from the first act, as well as some of the glowing stones from Benzo's shop. The blueprint reveals that she was already working on Jace's device from the first act to stabilize the crystals. This scene also reveals how the Milo figure has its feet on the table, as he always had during Act 1.
Same way he
Caitlyn's
sat.
room is full of flowers because after she got injured, everyone wanted to send their wishes to someone from the Kiramen family.
So tired of flowers, so she just throws Jace's on the floor. I love it.
Caitlyn uses a tarot card to mark the important evidence.
The truth.
These tarot cards will return, and they are symbolic during Act 2. According to her map, the lanes are just a part of what is officially called the Fissures. The note attached to it seems to be from the manifest from the beginning. She's currently holding a picture of Jinx's monkey, because she's trying to connect the symbol on the wall she saw right before the explosion. In the background, you can see that the map is exactly the same one with the hex gate which Silco has, proving that Silco has some inside information about the investigations. Caitlyn decides to go to the Still Waterhold.
Well, I mean, maybe. He might just have a map of the city. But I mean, of course he has some inside information, probably through Marcus, right?
At the beginning of the episode, that's where Marcus said he would take the goon from the airship. Of course, Vi beat him up because they knew each other from Act 1. Since Vi was revealed to be in the prison, that means it is where Marcus put her after she saved her life at the end of Act 1. And of course, he did it because he made a deal with Silco. If he removed Vi, Marcus's own family would be safe. Then we get to episode 5. During the flashback, while Caitlyn's father is happy to talk about the hunting, it's not exactly what her mother is excited about. Grayson also asks Caitlyn what is she shooting for. The next time Caitlyn shoots, she will save Vi. When Caitlyn shows Vi the picture of the monkey, you can see she drew the rest of the monkey over it to make sense of it. When Caitlyn presents the order to free Vi, you can see it is signed and stamped by J. Tallis. Of course, that's Jace. That's because the enforcers answer him now. When Vi hears the walking cane, you can actually see she's getting ready for another beating. Marcus is giving speech in honor of the enforcers who made fun of Caitlyn before they died. Silco points out that Marcus became a sheriff because of him. This is because Silco killed Grayson, meaning that what happened in Act 1 wasn't an accident. It was Silco's plan to promote Marcus.
Right. You gotta move the good, righteous people out of the way. It's very similar to what Meld is doing with Heimerdinger. And getting Jace, the more impressionable one, right? Getting them into that position. Same fucking thing with Marcus and Grayson. Yeah, because Grayson was the one who actually had some virtue and cared about making actually good deals with Vander.
Jace talks about rooting out the corruption. Of course, Marcus gets nervous. Back in Jinx's cave, she is reading Jace's journal. She stole it together with the gem.
Yeah.
And she's doing it because she is still working on the little device with the runes. That's what's going on here.
It is insane to me that she fucking MacGyvered this together, dude. Fuck me. Jinx is smart, man. Like, I totally get that she's got the research there, but to do it alone and to have the fucking balls or madness to attempt it is crazy. Like, I think it's so remarkable, dude. It's so cool. Jinx has so much untapped potential. So many people in Zaun do. But the way that they obviously have it set up where, like, the people in Piltover get an education and all the wealth exists there, you know, everyone from there gets all the credit. And, you know, the people down in the slums who are obviously also quite capable, you know, quite intelligent. Yeah, this is like a class system separation, like obviously 101, right? It's and again, this is the main reason why there is so much suffering, is because of the way that Piltover and Zaun are structured. Like, think about how many fucking great athletes or really smart people or really like inventive or creative people there are in real life that you never ever will see because, you know, their circumstances have made it so that they're invisible, you know? This is one of the most, like, this concept is one of the most, like, real and hard-hitting, like, metaphors or allegories or whatever you want to call it for real life, you know?
It's a makeshift replica down to the twisting button. She also got interested in the exact same page Victor got interested in when reading the journal.
Yeah.
During the Hextech mini-explosion, for a few frames, both Clagger and Milo briefly overlay the figures Jinx made for them. There is also the Rhino from the Get Jinxed video. We also saw it under her bed in Act 1. The bunny, together with the torch she got in Act 1, were in the box on the table. This slow Yordle is the same one who was begging on the streets of Zaun in Act 1. And
yeah,
yep,
that's interesting.
it wasn't a new champion teaser. It was Vi. Apparently, the slow Yordle is not so slow after all. Also, this seems to be the same street from the anime music video. Vi told Caitlyn Jinx could do parkour when she was 7. She also called herself Fisherfolk, in reference to the fisher. While Victor is fighting time and he's working, Jace is checking what he looks like in the background. The Ionians in the background are back. The Jinx scene at the arcade is different from the trailer, because here you can actually hear the voices of Clagger and Milo in her head. This would have spoiled the show. When the last drop is closed, you can see that the Silco's stupid goon and the bartender are standing outside. The performance in the theater is some kind of a Freljordian play. Later, the storm of the performance mimics Jace's descent into the chaos of corruption in Piltover. Mel agrees to call Jace an investment, foreshadowing that perhaps she is just using him.
Yeah.
Some people believe that the performer is Jin. That is highly improbable when lined up with his story. Also, it is a cameo of Ray Chen.
That's cool.
When visiting the brothel,
That's cool.
the symbol on the window is exactly the same as the one on the napkin Jericho gave them, revealing that
that's how
Jericho
she knew.
sneakily told Vi to seek more information there.
Right, I missed
In
the
one
symbol on the
room,
wall.
2 people are wearing the Kindred masks while puffing some shimmer.
Yeah, I
There-
like that. That was a cool scene. Ellery, thanks for saying that. Welcome to the stream.
There is also a Mirai-themed room where Justice is blind. Also a fun fact, Pim has the same voice actor as Silco. Need I say more?
Oh my god, the bondage yordle, dude. Oh, the bordle, dude.
Need I say more? Well, she started on the streets. Few years later,
Nobody thinks about the pressure that comes from a position of privilege. It's a burden too. I mean, we just spoke about that. So to say nobody thinks about it would be incorrect. I just talked about that. How like someone in, let's say, like Caitlyn's position, you know, there's that additional pressure and sometimes all that added attention, like all those flowers, right? Like, just leave me the fuck alone. You know, I got shit to do kind of thing, right? Like not everyone always wants to conform, right? It goes both ways, right? But I think, it's about appreciating what you have. And like someone said, you're not obligated to doing it, right? But I think that, I don't know, it really just depends on your perspective. Like I would, I don't know.
look where she made it. And if you stop being distracted by her, you may notice there is a Blood Moon Twisted Fate mask there. While Marcus is waiting for Silco to arrive, he's holding the bloody coin from Act 1, from the scene where Grayson died. When Silco presents Marcus the misleading proof for the council, you can see they drew the Firelight Hourglass symbol on it, the same one the leader has on his chest. I would truly love to make sense of what is happening in the background, but it is a bit beyond me. Also, there is a blurry booba in the background there. I might have to censor it even more because it is actually not that blurry. It is also revealed that Silco's number 2 is a regular, so Savika is enjoying her time here. Speaking of which, Caitlyn was enjoying her time
Sure
there as
was.
well. The room is set up to play into Caitlyn's hunting hobby. Not only are they in a similar forest to the one from the flashback, but looking at the animals and the bow and the arrows, in this frame, Caitlyn is portrayed as Artemis, the goddess of hunt. Mel mentions the Medarda
Yeah, sure. Okay, fair enough. I mean, that girl is hot. Caitlyn got taste. I mean, you're not wrong.
family only takes from people. They rarely give back. This is foreshadowing what's to come. That scene was Sky's only chance to score. I don't think she'll get another one. She mentioned that there is always tomorrow. That was before Victor collapsed.
Right.
And let's skip all of that. I just find it funny that the hex score is actually pulsing in rhythm with Jace's exploration. The reason why the droplet of blood was drawn into the hex core was not to show Jace's exchange of liquids. It was to show that the hex core reacts to organic matter. That's how Victor figures out what to do with the flowers.
I mean, it technically could be both, but like...
The scene where Silco lets powder drown so that Jinx may rise has a cool detail that comes a bit later on. Imagine Dragons are there, part of this world.
Yeah, that's
Marcus is actually listening to their song too. Unlike it was during Grayson's leadership, his table is overflowing with paperwork, showing us he can't handle all the work by himself.
Mantle of responsibility.
The scene also shows us he didn't pull the pin and kill Silco because of his daughter.
Right, and you can see in the painting, see that person, like, going through the sky? I feel like that's Mom, which is very sad. A little bit of foreshadowing there, maybe some more of the backstory of Marcus and why his daughter is so... I mean, she's obviously important to him because she's his daughter, but maybe the last vestige of Mom as well, which is just so fucking sad.
The sad part here is,
Yeah.
in that picture,
Yeah.
his daughter drew a woman in the sky watching them.
Yeah.
This is likely her mother. Right after Victor's critical scene, 2 cards are dealt on the table in Zone.
Yeah, those are nice. Death and the Magician. The Magician card kind of reminds me of Atakan, not gonna lie. It looks a lot like Otacon, actually. Especially with, like, the multiple hands, the black and red. The helmet. It reminds me a lot of Otacon.
These are Death and Magician. The Magician has an extra arm on his shoulder, just like Victor will. When Caitlyn saves Vi...
Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it. Yeah, I didn't even realize that Victor would end up with that. The Magician. And I saw that symbol quite a lot, too. I think I saw that in a couple places in this episode. I think I saw it on the back of, like, Vi's, in a more vertical, on the back of Vi's, like, number on the back of her shirt. I don't know.
Arm on his shoulder, just like Victor will. When Caitlyn saves Vi, it was the first time she shot her rifle since Grayson asked her what she was shooting for. Well, she's shooting for Vi. Right before Jinx finished Jace's contraption, we can see Mr. Bunny was taken there to see it happen too. On the left, we can also see a bigger version of one of the monkeys. And she's using the feathers of the crow she shot in the arcade to hold the papers.
Ah, nice.
And at the end, it is revealed that Silco believed that Vi was dead.
Thanks to Marcus.
That was his deal with Marcus. Marcus saving Vi was unknown to him. So now that he knows that she is alive, he has a reason to threaten him through his family. And this takes us to episode 6. We can see young Sky already showing interest in Victor. Then we can see the same butterfly that also appeared during Jace's flashback in Act 1,
before the
connecting
clockwork.
the two flashbacks. Singed revealed that Rio is a rare mutation he created himself. He feeds it the flowers because it is likely they contain shimmer, which prolongs its life. Also, Rio is in TFT. Heimerdinger reveals he is the one who found Victor and brought him to Piltover. In the original universe, it was Professor Stanwyck. Victor also asked him if he contemplates death, and Heimerdinger answered only those of friends. That's because Yordles are magical creatures that can't truly die. When Mel is painting, you can see her grounding the dye herself, adding eggs into it. This was the medieval way to make paint.
Oh, cool.
When Jace leans on Mel's lap, you can see that she's a bit shocked. Once again, this may be hinting that Mel doesn't truly feel much for Jace.
Well, I mean, like I said, maybe not initially, but when these kinds of moments happen, it can change people. They can start to feel real guilty about what they're doing. They can start to get actually attached.
She is just using him as an investment with benefits. After listening to how he talked about Victor, she also told him that he should be with him. She then revealed she was an exile from her family, right as the shot reveals that she was painting the immortal bastion of Noxus. In League of Legends, one of the tips reveals that her mother was a Noxian warlord. In Victor's critical state, he has void-like visions of shimmer, which temporarily prolong life. Jinx's stay at the bar with Chuck, who is actually called Theorem, mimics her stay at the bar with Vander. She even gets the exact same drink. Jinx sneaks the paint grenade on his back during an earlier hug. In the underbelly, Vi asks what's the sign in front of them doing there. That's because later we learn it was built there to replace her childhood home. When interrogating Savika, Jinx stabs a knife into her augmented arm to deactivate it. When Savika reveals that Vi returned, we can see her brief reflection in the knife.
Yeah, that was cool.
When Marcus returns home, he doesn't relax until he rips off the badge. Silco's stupid goon is reading stories about Teemo. On the first picture, it seems like something hits Teemo in the head. One of the lost souls in the underbelly is Huck from Vander's pub. Unlike the rest, he didn't flee from the light because he recognized Vi. Remember the shot from the trailer where we thought that Jinx was hiding behind Silco? Well, more misdirections. Caitlyn told her she has a good heart, just like Vander. Victor called his invention a hex core, referencing Victor's passive in-game. In Heimerdinger's memory, you can see the same mage from the Rune Wars in the middle of a void-infested zone. I wonder if this is referencing the Mage Kings of Icathia, who unleashed the void upon Runeterra. When Heimerdinger talks about the dangers of the hex core, the shot switches to the core's perspective. This is because the hex core itself can sentiently respond.
Yeah.
Back in the underbelly,
That's
Huck
cool.
never introduces himself, but we know it's him. The Potion Master waits for Caitlyn to trade her gun in before she gives it a drop of shimmer.
Otherwise, it
We
wouldn't have done
don't
shit.
know if this is to prevent people from stealing the potions, because
I think that's exactly what it is, yeah. Yeah.
without shimmer they would be worthless. Or if she added the shimmer in as a bonus because the rifle was so valuable.
I think it's the former rather than the latter. Like, you give the impression that that's the valuable thing. If they take it and run off with it, you basically haven't really lost anything. It's that key that makes it valuable. So yeah, I agree. I definitely think it's the former.
You can see Huck trying to fight his addiction when
Yep.
he sees it.
Absolutely.
You may notice later
That's why I thought he was going to betray her, like, relatively immediately. It just took a little longer.
he'll lose that fight. Regardless, even after knowing it contains shimmer, Caitlyn didn't really hesitate before giving it to Vi.
Well, that's because I'm not sure if Caitlyn has ever truly witnessed the effects of shimmer. I don't know if Caitlyn really knows, like, what it can do to people.
Since they can't close the hex gates because of the shady deals, Jace ordered to close the bridges between Piltover and Zone. This is an issue for Marcus, because now, in order for Vi and Caitlyn to return, they have to cross the bridges. So Marcus will have to kill Vi, otherwise his family is in danger. During a council meeting, Jace's argument
I mean, he doesn't necessarily have... I mean, he doesn't... I think I get what Necrit's saying. Like, the pressure of the situation is going to make him feel like that's what he has to do. But, we'll see.
against Heimerdinger's caution is that
Well, she saw the addicts in this very scene. To be fair, Huck told her that he's addicted to it, and that changed him. That it changed him into what he is now, just a minute before. Yeah, I mean, I guess that did happen, but I don't think that Vi knows the extent to which it can go. That's kind of what I'm saying. Like, she can see the addicts, but I don't think she knows it can turn you into a fucking monster, right? That's like more what I'm getting at. Either way.
humans don't have as much time as the Yordles. They can't wait forever with their inventions. This is because he's pressured by Victor's short time, while Yordles live forever. And when Jace offers to give Heimerdinger his well-deserved retirement, you can see how all the counselors are nervous. That's because they all know it is the wrong decision. Heimerdinger was the only uncorrupted leader, but they all had to vote him out for their shady deals to work.
Yep.
When Vi wakes up from her coma, she briefly sees her mother instead of Caitlyn.
Oh, yeah, I didn't catch that. That's a sad fucking detail. I thought Caitlyn looked a little weird there. I didn't register that it was... I didn't register that at all. That's tough.
With the hallucination of Jinx behind her. During this moment full of tension, while you may be thinking about other things, you may notice that Caitlyn
Makes me kind of wonder about her mom as well. Wonder if there's any, beyond the metaphorical side of it, I wonder if there's any, like, relation there at all. Probably not, but that'd be interesting.
is responsible, and she is staring into Vi's eyes because she is checking the temporary changes after shimmer was applied.
That makes sense.
Yes, you can see the eyes are briefly pink.
So Caitlyn has a little, obviously a little bit of a sense of the risk, but once it clears, she's good. Yeah, good. Yeah, that's a good point that you guys were making about, the addict pointing out the thing.
Beam behind Caitlyn, you can see the names of Violet and Powder, as well as their age and height. The reason why Silco was able to find Vi in the underbelly was because Huck sold her out for some shimmer. By punching down the tower, Vi symbolically destroyed the Eye of Zone, as well as the thing that destroyed her home. Jinx then fires up the torch Vi gave her in the last scene of Act 1. Jinx remembers Milo and Clegor because when she got the torch, that was the last time she had seen them alive.
That was a brutal scene.
During the heroic scenes, we can see this. Silco kicking to death one of the addicted thralls, and Marcus closing the bridge, dooming Vi. Back in the flashbacks, It is revealed that Singed had to pump Rio with Shimmer to save her, and he quickly offered Victor the flower to feed it to her again, just like he had the first time. When Victor leaves, he steps on one of the flowers. It makes the sound of the Shimmer, revealing that these flowers are likely the source of it. And later you can see that Rio survived in a jar. Singed is revealed to have his face covered. In the original universe, the reason why he wears the mask is different. There he was scarred by Warwick.
Yeah, Milo had blood on his shirt from where he got impaled. Yeah, I saw that too. He still had the blood stain on him.
In Silco's office, Jinx moved the dagger back to the square where she stole the gemstone. When Vi and Jinx are reunited, you can hear the music from the bridge from the very first scene of this series.
That was nice.
When Caitlyn arrives, Jinx realizes Savika wasn't lying, and Vi really got a new partner. That's why, before, Jinx covered Savika with the words liar. Jinx also said that powder fell down.
Wait, let me hear that again.
And Vi really got a new partner. That's why, before, Jinx covered Savika with the words liar. Jinx also...
Right, because Silco told Jinx that her sister was dead. That's directed at Silco. Yeah, right? I think that's what Necrit is saying. It just doesn't necessarily sound like that.
Said that powder fell down a well, referencing how Silco drowned her. When the Farlight's gang arrived, you can see that every single one of them has the hourglass on them, further feeding the theory that it might be Echo.
It's definitely
when
Echo.
Jinx goes on a rampage, you can see Shimmer reflecting in her eyes, foreshadowing her future. Vi is shocked to see that Jinx can fight. That's actually the first time Vi ever saw her take care of herself.
Maybe. I didn't necessarily... I mean, I think there's a little bit of that, but I think that was Vi maybe being a little bit worried about how unhinged Jinx was behaving. Like, I think she was kind of shocked by Jinx's willingness to, like, kill people. I don't think that Vi is necessarily big into killing people. Like... But I think that, I mean, Jinx killed all those officers and kind of like shrugged it off when Silco was mad at her for it. Like, I think that was very much like, oh my God, my sister has become a fucking monster. Like, holy fuck.
And in the final scene, not only were the two separated again, but the gang took Vi and the Hextech gem.
Yeah, and Jinx almost did kill Vi in that scene as well.
And those were all the details from Act 2. As it was with Act 1. If you noticed something I didn't, or if you noticed that I made a mistake somewhere, please let me know.
Good video.
I will try whatever I can to fix it. But now, let's take a quick break so we can do it all again for the third time next week.
My God. I'm so late to the party on Arcane, dude. Oh my God. Oh my God, I'm so late to the party.